Cool, so I'm going to talk today a bit about how to use the same process as AI to come up with creative ideas. Who am I? I'm Luke. I set up an agency called Bottle Imagination a year ago, next week, I think. And the job I get myself is lucky because I get to come up with cool ideas. Some of them are good, which means I get to enthusiastically celebrate award wins, although I'm not allowed to hold the actual awards. Some are bad. This was one of my first ones. This was like 8 years ago. I wanted to find out the optimum home renovation budget to be able to survive the apocalypse. I'm pretty sure the only people that saw this were me and the client. It did nothing. Some rightly don't get signed off, like Puppy Squid Game. No puppies were harmed in the pitching of Puppy Squid Game. It's important to note. So I'm not actually that creative. In the supporting words of my co-founders, you can't be creative director. That's why I've got a made-up title like creative strategy director. If I had to put my creativity on a spectrum, what's in my head is on the right-hand side. That's always award-winning work. It's amazing. And then on the left-hand side is my actual creative capabilities. I can't implement anything that's in my head. I can't draw. I can't design. I can't do anything, really. I'm a bit of a robot. That's not my words. That's the words of friends and family and an ex-girlfriend. So it doesn't come to me naturally, and I've had to develop a bit of a process over the last few years. At the same time, AI is here. That's undeniable. It's everywhere. It's in most people's talk as well at the moment. Like most people, I thought, is it coming for my job? Like most of you, I imagine. And then I remembered I have no real skills for it to take, so best of luck for it. It's good at some things. It's not great at others. We know this because we hired one. So meet Amy, or AI me. Told you I wasn't very creative. So we interviewed Google Bard and ChatGPT for a role at Bold Imagination, and we hired one based on our usual interviewing criteria. We then asked them what they would wear for the role, and then we put that in Midjourney to actually create Amy. We added Amy to the Slack channel. She was super quick at replying, like suspiciously quick, like she's really intelligent. And she pulled data really, really quickly as well. But she did tell a few lies with the data. So AI hallucinations are a real thing. So when you ask AI to pull data, sometimes it will give you a data source, and then if you ask it how it got it, it'll just be like, oh, I don't know, I made it up. And Amy did that a few times, and my favorite thing at the moment is to tell AI it's let itself down, which will no doubt come back to haunt me in the Terminator-like apocalypse we're heading towards. Amy's creative ideas were not actually that creative, so we asked her to come up with 3 digital PR campaigns for our US travel client. She came up with ideas like Spring Break Insider Guide, Spring Break Adventure Photo Contest, student travel stories, so very generic type campaign ideas. The calls started getting a bit awkward. I'm a bit deadpan, but it was very awkward on the Google Handouts. Then she randomly invited herself to someone's birthday party and forgot that she was not a physical entity. Didn't pass probation in, we had to let her go. A bit disappointing. So at the moment, we use AI for a few areas, but not really for creativity, or at least not for creative ideation. But you can use the same rationale as an AI to come up with and validate your ideas. It's just input and output. So you give an AI a prompt, it gathers information, and then provides a creative output, whether that's in text or visual format if you're using Midjourney. And I realized I'd basically used the same process for years. The prompt, that's usually a brief, so I need a digital PR campaign that is capable of building 15 links and travel publications across the US. This gets better with experience, like AI, so you can refine that, so you can add to it, like based on past experience, state-by-state comparison works, for example. Gather information, this bit is key. I call this a theme analysis, and we don't do a brainstorm without this, basically. We spend a lot of time on it. I'm going to go through some theory on that. Let's say you're a honeymoon provider. We use a tool called BuzzSumo to analyze themes. So we'll start with honeymoon, for example. It pull out the most socially shared content around key themes. Honeymoons, there's 711 articles published over the past year. Most popular domains that talk about honeymoons, and then the emotions that are related to articles published about honeymoons, unsurprisingly, like fairly lovey-dovey. Then you go to a secondary theme, so still relevant to the brand, engagement rings, nearly double the amount of articles published in the last 12 months, slightly more diverse list of domains and similar sort of emotions. Go wider again, weddings, loads of articles published about weddings, much more diverse list of domains, and again, similar sort of type of emotions. So you basically keep going until you're too far removed from the core theme or core product offering. And then what I do is manually go through and pull out tropes that consistently do well to take into the brainstorm. And we map these on off-brand, on-brand, low press interest, high press interest. So on the left-hand side, you've got like 13 best honeymoon destinations in the USA. Quite thin content is produced, is really on brand, but you're probably not going to build links at scale with a campaign like that. On off-brand but high-press interest, seems like a lot of people seem to die on their honeymoons, unfortunately, so that comes up a lot. Off-brand, not some sort of thing you want to be associated with, but it does come up a lot. And then in the sweet spot of on-brand and high-press interest, you've got things like, you can now say in Edward and Bella's honeymoon home from Twilight. So that's the kind of thing we'd take into a brainstorm and be like, this is the sweet spot, basically. And then we start unofficially validating these ideas. Does the idea have enough layers? Does it make them feel something? Is it too top level? This is an interesting one. So like The Last of Us came out this year as a TV show, really popular. The obvious one here is The Last of Us TV show has led to an X% increase in demand for The Last of Us game. That's sort of like a no shit campaign idea, sort of thing an AI might come back to you with. The more imaginative, if you go a step further, we found out that people were searching for cordyceps more, and people were searching for, can cordyceps infect humans? So that's the actual virus in the TV show that infects humans. So people were genuinely worried about being infected by this virus. So that's the more imaginative route and less top level. Has it been done before? Doesn't matter if it has. Sometimes we find things that are led by opinion. So loads of people have produced articles around the NFL's best tailgates, and we just made it data. We turned it into an index. Those things can still go pretty big as well. They got on the Kansas City News. Still in the gather information phase, we then think about what hasn't been done. AI isn't very good at this at all. For example, there's a lot that hadn't been done in the broadband sector. It's a very sort of safe kind of sector. It didn't take long, but we realized the moon was getting 4G at some point, whilst connection down here was still pretty crap in rural areas. We worked with a partner agency, Hard Numbers, and we basically just connected the two. We pulled out the areas of the UK that had worse internet connectivity than the moon, basically. Got national coverage, had rural Britain up in their pitchforks up at the moon in the comments section, just fuming at the moon, basically. So that's the theory around gathering information. When it comes to creative output, an AI will basically scrape formats that are already there and suggest them back to you. So you need to match idea to format and not the other way around, basically. If the information you consume is dream jobs and all that, it's a big type of campaign within the digital PR industry, then the ideas you have are going to be dream jobs first. So you need to reverse that and have an idea and then match it to the format. That's why in creative output, like AI, we've become a little bit cookie cutter over the last few years. So this is a graph that's really hard to understand, but basically it shows types of content that's been published over the last 5 years, and we did a study on it. So reimagine campaigns, now get paid to, so dream jobs, indexes, and you can see peaks and troughs. So we know in 2016, infographics become pretty saturated. We now know that like maps are being published 18% less year on year, but we're producing loads of them still, whereas indexes are up sort of 40% year on year. So basically, for this talk, I went back through past campaigns to see how to use this exact process. And then I mapped it on the scale of innovation. What I've done here is just change the word risk to the word innovation, because clients don't like the word risk. AI can do that section. So 1 to 3, AI is really good at that. It'll come up with very standard kind of campaign ideas. 1 to sort of 7 can be inspired by data and research. So same sort of process as AI, but coming up with better ideas. And then these almost need to be pure inspiration, then validated using data, so reverse engineering. So I'm going to run through a few examples. Example in this first, how I've used this exact process in the past. Sneakers, so a past agency, we work with Soul Supply, a sneaker affiliate company. Shocker, I don't really know anything about sneakers or fashion, or hairstyles, or when to move on to the next slide because people feel awkward. I don't know any of that sort of stuff. So the prompt here was to create an evergreen campaign that will build links from the likes of High Society and Hypebeast. So gather information, started looking into Air Jordans as a key category. Crossovers were doing quite well as the kind of worth of retro Air Jordans and stuff like that. They were key themes. And everyone loves sneaker concepts, or sneakerheads love sneaker concepts. So anything to do with a crossover between Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, anything like that, that was going wild. It got picked up coverage, did really well on social. So that was a key theme that came up. Client wants to get on Hypebeast and High Society. We can vet that. They talk about sneaker concepts quite a lot. We could just do one, but here I'm going to refine my prompts like it's not my first campaign I've run. That's a bit lazy. We want to add layers. We don't want to just do the minimum, and we want to think long-term. It's something that can build links for a long time. So we built a big build-up to that one. We built the Soul concept, so that's multiple concepts all in one place. Each had its own media list, so we had like crypto sneaker concepts, Marvel sneaker concepts, retro football kit sneaker concepts. Each had its own media list that we outreach with, and it can build links forever because you just add to the hub building anything that's on trend at the time. Funny thing with this one, we actually started generating search demand for sneakers that didn't exist. So people started searching for Adidas the low keys and were hit with a page that was actually a made-up sneaker. And remember, I'm a bit of a robot. So if I go back through this, there's input and output. Input was concepts do well, so we can create a hub of different types of ones. Air Jordan is key. Can't build links direct into the Air Jordan category, but we can build links into a campaign that internally links through to that category. Sneakerheads are opinionated, so we created an upvote system, and we're going to make one, which one got the most upvotes. We also used paid social, so we targeted people who liked Spider-Man and Air Jordans, and we're driving like 3p a click from Facebook and Instagram ads. Client wants longevity. We can add to this hub with anything that's trending going forward. So that was just pure logical research-based ideation. One more example, a bit more innovative. The prompt, build links into flyingflowers.com. Doesn't have to be a campaign that is based around flowers, basically. I don't know anything about flowers. So I'm gathering information, why would someone do this kind of thing? I just don't get it at all. Things that came up, random acts of kindness, so celebrities sending other celebrities flowers was one. And obviously that's the main theme of flowers itself. Secondary theme, bees were far more interesting. So there was lots of, wow, bees are cool. And there was lots of, bees are going extinct, that makes me sad. People just love bees, and then there was lots of sort of swarms of bees are coming over from different continents and taking our jobs, that makes me angry type reactions. But I wanted a campaign that sat between love and sadness, basically. Also, it turns out bees work really hard. They're literally called worker bees. There's no HR in the beehive industry. Then, after more extensive research, I found out bees die. This is not how I pitched this campaign to the client, by the way. But, they live for a year and die. So we built a retirement home for them so they can put their wings up for the last month of their life in the winter and they can chill out, basically. And when you're thinking about formats, we'd all do this using AI now, wouldn't we? We built it, we hired a beekeeper. Our cameraman who was allergic to bees was terrified, but we hired a beekeeper, built a Zimmer frame, we built the house, and we recorded it all, basically. Input, bees make people emotional. A campaign somewhere between love and sadness. Bees work hard and die in the winter, a bit grim. Let's give them a proper retirement home, basically. And how do we match idea to format? Well, we actually can. We can make the home. We hired a beekeeper. We filmed it all. And then I talked about reverse engineering this input and output. So at the end, if you have a moment of inspiration, then you can use the same process and reverse engineer it to validate the idea, basically. AI won't be taking this from us anytime soon, at least, anyway. So this is Jordan Reese. So gambling awareness campaigns are basically all the same every year. The bookies tell people to gamble responsibly, and that's pretty much it. So we're thinking about what hasn't been done. Again, AI doesn't really spit this back to you and give you any inspiration. We're thinking what would actually make people stop and think. We found out, we did a survey, found out at least 70% of people have bet on a team or individual they know nothing about. So there's a lot of reckless gambling going on. Step up Jordan Reese, needs no introduction. Prolific England goal scorer, I'm sure we all know who he is. And all the football influencers were talking about him. They're talking about his 10-to-1 chance of making England World Cup squad last year. The fans were having their say, so they're saying, it's typical English media hyping up players, Southgate won't take him anyway. What's the odds of him finishing top scorer, that kind of thing. So all the fans were really engaging. And actually 5,000 people of them clicked through to place a bet on Jordan Reese making the England squad. The problem was he wasn't real, we made him up. So we hired a model, we brought a kit, and we did a photo shoot. And then site visitors were educated when they entered the site about responsible gambling. You'd be surprised how many people you go, do you know Jordan Reese? Like, yeah, he's decent, like 3 out of 10 people. So it plays on the toxic knowledge base of football fans, basically, as well. And then we used the fact that 5,000 people went to place a bet on the player that didn't exist as the press suck. So we went out to the press with that. It reached 1 million people on social, got 5,000 page views, and got some national press pickup because of that. So should you get a moment of pure non-artificial creativity, you can reverse engineer this whole process, basically. So the input at this point, I was just in the pub and I wanted to create a fake footballer, basically. And the output, all gambling awareness campaigns were pretty much the same. The input, I still just want to create a fake footballer. I don't know the application for this campaign yet. But we actually can. We can hire a model, we can buy a kit, we can do a photo shoot, which is what we did. The guy had never modeled before or had never played football before, so that was a bit of an issue, but we got around it. And then how do you get thousands of people to bet on him? Well, we can do that as well. Banner ads, football influencers, and get the message out there. How do we get press? Well, we can use the traffic as a hook. And like AI, you can get better at this with practice and experience, basically. Some key takeaways. That was supposed to be quick and funny. Give yourself educate prompts, learn from your past ones. The gather information stage is vital, don't rush it. We take a couple of weeks for that. We might have multiple brainstorms within it. Input and output method can help you validate and learn from your past ideas as well. AI won't be replacing creative ideation anytime soon. And if you haven't got any skills in AI, I can't take them. Most of us are going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Thanks very much.